Hey Dad, today I want to talk about the Eighth Amendment, the one that prohibits cruel and unusual punishments and protects people from excessive force, excessive bail, and inhumane treatment. Most people hear Eighth Amendment and think of prisons or death penalty cases or sentencing. But the core idea behind it is much broader, something the founders understood viscerally. Government power has to be restrained, not just in court, but in every interaction where the state controls someone's body. And Dad, that principle is being tested in real serious ways today. Not just in one state, not with one agency, but across the country wherever federal enforcement actions have expanded quickly and with very little oversight. The Eighth Amendment protects everyone in government custody. And here's something a lot of people don't realize. You don't have to be convicted of a crime to be protected by the Eighth Amendment's principles. You don't even have to be charged. The moment the government restrains you, handcuffs you, detains you, forces you into a vehicle, or uses force on your body, the Constitution draws a line. The government can't treat you violently, negligently, or inhumanely. Not even for a moment. And Dad, that safeguard applies to U.S. citizens, lawful residents, asylum seekers, undocumented individuals, mixed status families, and anyone else placed under federal control, because the Constitution limits the government, not the individual. So what's happening today that raises Eighth Amendment questions? Across the United States, civil rights groups, journalists, and even some local law enforcement officials have been documenting the same kinds of incidents during rapid federal operations. 1. Excessive use of force during arrests. Reports describe broken windows and dragged bodies, people pulled from cars without warning, force used on individuals who were not resisting, injuries requiring hospitalization, pepper spray and impact, munitions deployed without clear threat. This isn't about whether arrests should happen. It's about how arrests are carried out. The Eighth Amendment doesn't wait for a conviction. It applies the moment force is used. Number 2, dangerous or degrading detention conditions. Across multiple regions, detainees describe being held in freezing rooms for hours, lack of medical care after use of force incidents, prolonged shackling, denial of bathroom access, lights kept on all night, no water during transport, medical conditions ignored. The Eighth Amendment requires that when the government restrains you, it cannot endanger your health or ignore your basic humanity. Number 3, people held without clear cause in conditions that feel punitive. This has happened to lawful residents, visa holders, U.S. citizens, misidentified, and people stopped without explanation. When a person is detained without understanding why or without access to counsel and then held under harsh conditions, what they experience is not civil processing. It's punishment without charge. The exact thing the Eighth Amendment was written to prevent. Number 4, the biggest concern, the lack of independent oversight when harm occurs. Dad, this is the part that connects directly to what happened after Renee Good and Alex Preddy were killed. Local police, the entities normally responsible for investigating use of force in their jurisdiction, publicly stated that federal agencies seized critical evidence, blocked local authorities, controlled the scene, withheld names of agents involved, and walled off the investigation entirely. No independent transparency, no community review, no outside accountability. And when the government controls every angle of an investigation into its own use of force, the Eighth Amendment's promise becomes almost impossible to enforce because the public can't verify whether force was reasonable or excessive. That's not a political point, it's a constitutional one. Dad, here's why this all matters. The Eighth Amendment isn't abstract. It isn't about theory. It's about what happens when a human body meets government force. If someone is injured during an arrest, harmed by excessive force, mistreated in custody, denied medical care, or killed during an encounter, the Constitution demands an honest, independent examination of what happened. But if federal agencies can block local investigators, withhold evidence, seal records, or investigate themselves behind closed doors, then the public never gets the chance to determine whether the force was lawful or whether the Eighth Amendment was violated. And Dad, that's the part that scares me the most, because the Eighth Amendment only works when the truth can be seen. So here's my question for you. If the Constitution prohibits cruel and excessive force, how can we uphold that promise when the federal government blocks independent investigations into the force it uses? That's what I'm trying to understand, and I think it's something every American should be paying attention to, no matter where they stand politically.